Hi, I'm Joni Patry, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Well, today I'd like to pay tribute to a very important hero that has just passed here in Dallas, Texas, and that is Ross Perot. And for those of you that don't know the history of Ross Perot, let me inform you a little bit about this heroic, amazing man. And if anybody comes back and says anything differently about the credibility and the heroism and incredible achievements that this man has done, I'll tend to disagree, because let me give you a little brief history. First of all, he was always true to his word. He was the epitome of a true hero. He fought in the war, and he was a billionaire. He was so successful on his own account and own accord, and we will talk about why that is in his chart. But he was a salesman for IBM, and then later on opened up his own company, which is EDS, which is Electric Data Systems. But it was in the 1979 war with Iran that some of his employees were captured. And just like in the true sense of someone who's true to their word, he wouldn't hear of it. The government would not go into release or to free these prisoners. So what does he do? Just like in a movie, like we see on TV, like Rambo or James Bond, he broke in there with his own people and freed his employees from jail there in Iran. Risked their lives, risked everything, but he wasn't going to stand for them being captured. It's a pretty phenomenal story that he went beyond the confines of the government to free them. Aside from that, he was totally opposed to the Vietnam War. And one of his major issues that he was always trying to go in and heal and save the POWs and people that were left in Vietnam and in Asia. He was true to his word. Whatever he said, he kept. To the point where when he ran for president of the United States, I believe it was in 1992, he chose his own independent party. Why? Because he didn't agree with either of the other parties. And unfortunately, people weren't knowledgeable enough to know what he really stood for at the time. And what a great president he would have made, because he was honest and true to his word. And boy, did he have a Texas accent. So I've seen him around town. He's an old Dallasite, and you'd be amazed how short he is, or he was. But the power that came out of this individual was beyond belief. He's done so much to help change the war. He was opposed to the Gulf War, but when he ran for president, what a lot of people don't realize, he took a lot of the votes away from Bush. This was Bush Sr. that was running against Clinton. And because he ran in the independent party, they took the votes from the Republican Party. Clinton won. People don't realize that that's why probably Clinton did win back then. But another thing that I think was so honorable about him was when he was running for president, he pulled out at some point. And the reason why is he had threats on his family's life, and he wouldn't hear of it. His family was everything to him. And I do happen to know some of his grandchildren. So this man and his family were just great people. And he supported even Steve Jobs in opening up Apple. If you go back and look at the history, this man was at the culprit in the bottom and the beginnings of things dealing with technology. Yes, he was a pioneer of the greatest. So I want you to look at his chart and see what we can see that made this man so powerful, successful, and such a great degree of integrity. And I think it's going to show up very clearly in this amazing chart. So let me put Ross Perot's chart up here. We have Ross Perot. He was born June 27th, 1930. The time I have is 5:34 a.m. in Texarkana, Texas. Now with this, he has a Gemini ascendant. And notice this powerful stellium meaning 3 or more planets in a sign, in Gemini, all in the first house. He has Sun, Jupiter, Moon, and Pluto very tightly conjunct the Moon. Now his Moon is in the nakshatra Purnavasu. That nakshatra means return of the light. And I've often said, and I truly believe this nakshatra casts no shadows. This man was, what you see is what you get. There were no lies or deceit or denials behind him. And let me point out something else that I love about this. He opened up one of the most beautiful museums here in Dallas, and it's all for children. I love it. It is the Museum of Natural Sciences, and go there. It is a magnificent museum that really excites children into learning. This is an amazing museum here in Dallas. But moving on with his chart, he has Saturn opposed to all these planets. What I find very significant today is that we just had a solar eclipse in Gemini, Sun, Moon in Gemini with Rahu. And if you'll notice, Ross Perot has some amazing planets that were being triggered at the time of his demise, of when he passed. So we had the eclipse falling on all of Ross Perot's planets in the first house. So his Saturn is in the nakshatra called Purva Ashada, and it is opposed all these planets. So whenever you have Saturn in aspect, Saturn gives discipline, focus, and makes things real. Purva Ashada is the nakshatra of truth. And so is the nakshatra Purnavasu. So these are the things that are being revealed right now as we speak, with the eclipses happening here in 2019. And it's bringing out some important variables in Ross Perot's chart. And he was there for a second Saturn return. He was 89 years old. Saturn returns to its starting position every 28 to 30 years. And you can see his Saturn's in Sagittarius, where Saturn is today. Now, with all those planets in Gemini, we have Mercury goes to the 12th house. The reason why I'm talking about Mercury, it rules Gemini. Therefore, the dispositing planets of all the Gemini planets is Mercury. It goes to the 12th house. Ross Perot was very much tied up in politics. He was very much tied up with looking at other countries and healing the world and crises that were going on around the world, foreign lands and countries. This was a part of his life by the fact that the ruler of his chart, Mercury, and the dispositing planet of all those planets in the first house, Mercury goes to the 12th house of foreign lands and countries. And interestingly enough, the 12th house dealing with prisons, he was always trying to free people that were imprisoned. Very interesting. But the thing that stands out the most radically in this chart in terms of his status as a billionaire, and he was a billionaire way before we had so many billionaires today, he has the Mars conjunct Rahu in the 11th house of great gains, major finances and money. He was it. He made so much money in this world. by his focus, by his success orientation. Notice that Mars Rahu in the 11th house, and Mars is in Aries. One of its most powerful signs to be in Aries. So this man made it big. And one other thing I want to point out that I think is extremely valuable is the fact that his Mars is not only in Aries, but it is in the nakshatra called Bharani. And that nakshatra to me means breakthroughs. And people that have this nakshatra strong in their chart, it means that they will make major breakthroughs and they will do something different that nobody else in their family of origin have ever accomplished. And he did that. This is the importance of this nakshatra. Remember, its symbol is the baby in the uterus that's about to be born because the baby has outgrown its environment. So what does that symbolize? Someone that outgrows their past, their environment, and they have to break through to a whole new world to go through a birth process and be reborn. That's the essence of this nakshatra. That's the essence of his Mars, ruler of the 11th house in the 11th house, and expanded by being conjunct Rahu. This is his power. This is his strength. This is what gave him such great accomplishments. Plus, when you look at the ruler of the 10th house, his career, it's Jupiter. It goes to the first house. He was a self-made man. And Jupiter influences and affects the sun, which is his spirit. And this is what made him so true to his word. And I think, personally, there has not been enough information out there talking about this man who has just passed. Yes, there's been a few news reports, but I really haven't seen anything that big to honor the accomplishments and the glory of such a hero that just passed away not that long ago. We're talking July 9th. So check him out. Check out some of the accomplishments that this great soul that just left the planet has achieved. And you'll be amazed. And his chart does represent his incredible patriotism and all that he represented and all he stood for the entrepreneurs in this world to come and be accomplished, to follow their dreams, because you can come from nothing and be rags to riches, as this amazing man has, and stand true to your word, and your life will be a representation of that. So thank you for listening for my dissertation and honoring this great man of my hometown, Dallas, Texas, Ross Perot. So thank you. And if you would like more information on me, you can go to my website, which is galacticcenter.org. Or if you would like to learn Vedic astrology, learn more about how to read a chart and do this for yourself, go to my university website, which is universityofvedicastrology.com. This is a self-paced course. You can jump in at any time, all online, and you will work with me personally. So with that, I'd like to close. Thank you.